Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestant. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trevette.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows. The movies. You're in denial. Debriefing. Science. Now appearing in a biblical book near you. And back in the 1990s. Player one, where do we start? Jack Palance's character is described as a saddlebag with eyes in this 1991 comedy. Here's what we were looking for. City Slickers. You again, player one. In the film Music and Lyrics, Hugh Grant plays the Jeopardy Think music written by this creator of Jeopardy. It's player one. That is correct. We return to you, player one. Irene Bedard, the speaking voice of this heroine in an animated Disney film, played her mother in The New World. It's player one. Right. You again, player one. The 2003 film Pieces of April starred this actress, who had yet to meet and marry Tom Cruise. Here's the response we were looking for. Katie Holmes. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Jane Russell and Marilyn Monroe sang about being two little girls from Little Rock in this 1953 movie musical. Here's the correct response. Gentlemen prefer blondes. Player one, pick again. This colorful branch of the Nile River begins at Lake Tana in Ethiopia. Yes, player one? Good for you. Player one, pick again. In 1902, construction was completed on the first dam on the Nile at this southern Egyptian city. Here's what we were looking for. Aswan. Select again. A center of Egypt's rice trade, this Nile Delta city lends its name to an important translating stone. Here's the response we were looking for. Rosetta. Please pick again, player one. This ancient Greek historian called Egypt the gift of the Nile. Here's the correct response. Herodotus. Player one, you pick again, please. Let's get Kelly's assistance on this clue.
An ancient boat, nearly 150 feet long, was found in 1954 by archaeologists investigating the Great Pyramid on this Egyptian plateau.
Player one? That's correct. We return to you, player one. It's the alliterative salutation that traditionally begins each entry of a girl's daily journal. Let's hear it, player one. Right. Please pick again, player one. To slobber or to bounce a basketball. Let's hear it, player one. Hey, you're right. Player one, back to you. Humorous poetry with irregular rhythm is known by this canine name. Let's hear it, player one. We're talking about doggerel. Please pick again, player one. To a Londoner, it's a trash can. Here's what we wanted. A dustbin. Player one, you pick again, please. An alcoholic may suffer from this, from the Greek for mad thirst. Player one? Here's what we wanted. Dipsomania. Player 1, you pick again, please. The name of this one-celled protozoan comes from the Greek for change. Okay, Player 1. That is correct. Select again. Every second, fusion reactions in the sun convert about 600 million tons of this element into helium. Let's hear it, Player 1. Correct. Please pick again, Player 1. Edward Doisy won a 1943 Nobel Prize for synthesizing this hemorrhage-inhibiting vitamin. Isn't that special? Here's what we wanted. Vitamin K. You get to pick again, Player 1. Answer? The Daily Double. You are in the lead right now, so what's your wager? The clue. Of the three basic rock types, the type that was once one form but has changed to another due to heat and pressure. No, that's not right. Here's the response we were looking for. Metamorphic. Player 1, choose again. Here's Jimmy. He'll show you.
On the sunward side of the Earth, these bands are compressed by solar winds. On the other side, they can stretch farther.
Let's hear it, Player 1. Right you are. Player 1, back to you. Scary seven-headed beasts are a vision to behold in this book. Here's the response we were looking for. Revelation. You again, Player 1. Ancestor of one of the 12 tribes, Benjamin appears in this biblical book as his mom Rachel dies giving birth to him. Player 1. Good. You again, Player 1, and I'll hand it off to Sarah.
A mosaic depicting loaves and fishes is from an ancient church on the shore of this sea, where Jesus is said to have performed the miracle.
Let's hear it, Player 1.
Yeah!
Right. You again, Player 1. Babylonian King Nebuchadnezzar appears in this book of the Bible, where he has some dreams interpreted. Player 1. Right. Player 1, you pick again, please. The Sermon on the Mount is recounted in books 5 to 7 of this Gospel. Okay, Player 1. Good. Player 1, you pick again, please. Here's what we wanted. Hong Kong. Player 1, you pick again, please. On August 10th, 1993, she was sworn in as the 107th Supreme Court Justice. Here's the response we were looking for. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Please pick again, Player 1. Partying like it was February of 1999, Hugo Chavez became president of this country. Okay, Player 1. Sorry, that's wrong. Here's the response we were looking for. Venezuela. Player 1, you pick again, please. On January 1st, 1993, 2 new European nations were formed from the split of this suddenly ex-country. Here's what we were looking for. Czechoslovakia. And now the $1,000 clue. On October 26, 1994, a peace treaty was signed between Israel and this country led by King Hussein I. Player 1? No. Here's the response we were looking for. Jordan. The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. Categories for the Double Jeopardy round are accentuate it, in the neck, 1977, Broadway debuts, libraries, and Shakespeare's characters. Let's get back into this now. You have control of the board. In this language of the British Isles, you'll see accent marks on the letter W. It's player one. Good. Player one, choose again. Spanish words with the stress on the last syllable have accent marks only if they end in N, S, or one of these. Yes, player one? Good. We return to you, player one. You may ask why this language has an accent mark in its word for why. Perché? We're talking about Italian. Player one, choose again. Sarah will present this clue.
In poetry, it's a foot, or metrical unit consisting of an unstressed followed by a stressed syllable.
Here's the correct response. An iamb. Player one, back to you. Some Shakespeare editions use accents to clarify meter, as in this man's "The time is out of joint, O cursed spite." Okay, player one. That's right, way to go. Player one, pick again. Curly made his woo-woos and nyuk-nyuks in this hollow chamber, also called the voice box. Yes, player one? Yes. We return to you, player one. In emergencies, this neck operation may be performed with a penknife and the empty shell of a pen. Player one? That is correct. Player one, back to you. These arteries carry blood to the head. A blockage in one may lead to an ischemic stroke. The correct response is the carotid arteries. Please pick again, player one. This gland makes its hormones by combining iodine with the amino acid tyrosine. Okay, player one. The correct response is the thyroid gland. Player one, pick again. Answer, one of the Bailey doubles. You are currently in the lead. How much? The clue, about 10 inches long, it passes through the neck and goes past the heart, through the diaphragm, and into the stomach. Correct. Select again. President Carter signed a treaty on September 7th, 1977 that said the United States would give up control of this in 1999. Okay, player one. That's it. Player one, choose again. The 91-year-old widow of this British Prime Minister was selling off his paintings to supplement her $26 a week pension. Here's what we wanted. Winston Churchill. Player one, you pick again, please. The world lost two more Marx Brothers in 1977. Milton, also known as Gummo, and Julius, also known as this. The correct response is Groucho. Player one, choose again. Egypt was planning a new town to be built near Cairo to be called the 10th of this holy month. Player one? That's correct. Please pick again, player one. In October of 1977, terrorists from this U.S. Commonwealth took the Statue of Liberty hostage for 9 hours. Player one? Here's the correct response. Puerto Rico. Player one, back to you. He made his debut as Katharine Hepburn's grandson in A Matter of Gravity, before flying high as Superman. Here's the correct response. Christopher Reeve. You get to pick again, player one. In 1995, Jolie Fisher made her Broadway debut as Rizzo in this musical. It's the word. Here's the correct response. Grease. Player one, choose again. Answer. The other Daily Double. You are currently in the lead. What are you going to wager? Answer this. In 1999, Susan Lucci took aim at Broadway and made her debut as the title gal in this musical. Here's the correct response. Annie, Get Your Gun. Select again. He made his debut starring opposite Natasha Richardson in Anna Christie. They were married soon after. Here's the response we were looking for. Liam Neeson. Please pick again, player one. In 2006, in her first big project since giving birth to twins, she starred on Broadway in 3 Days of Rain. Here's the response we were looking for. Julia Roberts. Player one, you pick again, please. This country's national library, the Biblioteca Nacional José Martí, was financed by a tax on sugar. Let's hear it, player one. Oh, sorry. We're talking about Cuba. You get to pick again, player one. The Hector Hodler Library in Rotterdam, which is devoted to this artificial language, has over 15,000 books. We're talking about Esperanto. Player one, back to you. When his presidential library was dedicated in 1991, 4 former presidents were in attendance. Yes, player one? Good. Player one, back to you. This Shakespeare library, named for this Standard Oil man, is run by Amherst College. Here's what we wanted. Henry Folger. We return to you, player one. The Radcliffe Camera, Britain's first round library, is the main reading room of this bigger library at Oxford. Here's the response we were looking for. The Bodleian Library. Player one, back to you for our next selection. There's something in his soul o'er which his melancholy sits on brood, is said of this title character. We're talking about Hamlet. You again, player one. Friar John gets quarantined, so he never delivers that really important letter that this friar wrote to Romeo. Yes, player one? That's it. Player one, you pick again, please. She's in Troy when she tells Pandarus, "Go hang yourself, you naughty mocking uncle." Here's what we were looking for. Cressida. You again, player one. This man boasts, "He that knows better how to tame a shrew, now let him speak." The correct response is Petruchio. And the $2,000 clue? The appropriately named Servilius is a servant to this title guy of Athens. Here's the correct response. Timon. Looks like you'll be moving on to Final Jeopardy after this commercial break. Final Jeopardy still to come, and here's the category. Sports business. You need to select your wager. Let's take a look at that Final Jeopardy clue right now. In 1993, this man said, "What Phil and Nike have done is turn me into a dream." Did you come up with the correct response? And this correct response will add how much to your score? Player one, congratulations to you.
Woo!
So long.
This is Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestant. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Rivet.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows. This means war. You are what you eat. World facts. In the bookstore. Medical talk. And I need more space. Player one, you start us off. During the Revolutionary War, volunteers ready to fight with 60 seconds' notice were called these. Yes, player one? Is correct.
Woo!
Player one, you pick again, please. In this U.S. war, it was the Yanks versus the Confederates. Yes, player one? Player one, back to you. This future state declared its independence in 1836 during a war with Mexico. It's player one. Yes. Select again. Lasting from 1957 to this year, the Vietnam War is the longest in which the United States has taken part. Let's hear it, player one. Right. Please pick again, player one. The 100 Years' War, 1337 to 1453, was fought between England and this country. Let's hear it, player one. Correct. Player one, back to you. Ah, yes, my sweet, if you eat this sticky liquid, comb and all, I'll definitely call you my this. Yes, player one? Yes.
Woo!
Player one, you pick again, please. Eat too many of this original gourmet jelly bean, and its name may describe your tummy. It's player one.
Woo!
Right. player one. Choose again. If I eat a Frankfurter before I show off my skiing stunts, you have every reason to call me one of these. Let's hear it, player one. Right. Player one, choose again. Louis Browning ate more than 22,000 of these cream-filled Hostess cakes. If you did the same, we'd call you one. Let's hear it, player one. Good for you. We return to you, player one. If you spend your last dime on one of these New Orleans-style hero sandwiches, you really will turn into one. Let's hear it, player one.
Yeah!
Player one, you pick again, please. Lots of peridot has been found on the island of Zeebrugge in this colorful sea off Africa. Yes, player one?
Yeah!
Good for you. Please pick again, player one. Let's get Jimmy's assistance on this clue.
Built with Andrew Carnegie's gift, the Peace Palace in this Dutch city houses the International Court of Justice.
Okay, player one. Right. We return to you, player one. 1/3 of the people in this South American country live in Montevideo. Most of its 15 million sheep don't. Player one? That's it. You get to pick again, player one. Hordes of people know that Ulaanbaatar is this ancient Asian nation's capital. It's player one. Right. You get to pick again, player one. Mount Shikara in these mountains is the highest peak in Georgia. The country, not the state. Yes, player one?
Yeah!
Yes. Player one, back to you. Fever 1793 depicts a teen struggle during the 1793 epidemic of this colorful fever in Philadelphia. Okay, player one?
Yeah!
That's correct. Please pick again, player one. Ahab's wife tells a whale of a tale about a character mentioned briefly in this classic novel. Yes, player one? Right. Player one, pick again. Answer, it's the Daily Double. And you have the lead. So, what's your wager? Answer this. Hope Was Here is a book about a teen waitress at the Welcome Stairways Diner in this dairy state. Yes. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Take a bite out of the Vampire Armand, the 6th book in her Vampire Chronicles. It's player one. Good for you. Select again. A secret code called New Shoe is pivotal to the plot of Snowflower and the Secret Fan, set in this country. Player one? Good. We return to you, player one. This term refers to the painful inflammation of any of the fibrous structures that connect muscles to bones. Okay, player one. That's right. Way to go. We return to you, player one. To test for visual acuity, the Snellen chart is designed to be read from this many feet away. Yes, player one? Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
Player one, pick again. It begins, I swear by Apollo, physician, and Asclepius. Let's hear it, player one. Correct. Select again. Luteinizing hormone is one of the many produced by this cherry-shaped gland. Let's hear it, player one. Yep. We return to you, player one. Here's Jimmy with the clue.
When an injury like a cut is sustained, these blood cells change shape, become sticky, build up on the wound, and form a plug.
Player one? Ooh, sorry. That's in. The correct response is thrombocytes. You again, player one. At KFC, you can lunch on chicken. At KSC, this place, you can lunch with an astronaut. Yes, player one? Yes. Player one, back to you. This Mattel doll became an astronaut in 1965, perhaps inspiring the young Sally Ride. It's player one. Yes. We return to you, player one. Now available again, Quisp, which has a space alien mascot, is a type of this breakfast food. Yes, player one? That's right. Way to go.
Yeah! Woo!
We return to you, player one. This TV series wasn't about the Swiss Family Robinson, but the Space Family Robinson. Okay, player one.
Yeah!
Yep. And now the $1,000 clue. This 1956 film was a sci-fi version of The Tempest. Robbie the Robot was inspired by Ariel. Okay, player one. That is correct. The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. And we have 2 daily doubles awaiting you in these categories. Saints. Old, odd, and obscure words. Health and medicine. 1960s TV. U.S. museums. And characters in literature. All right, if you're ready, it's Double Jeopardy time. St. John Eudes promoted devotion to this sacred body part, not just of Jesus, but of Mary, too. Player one? That's it. You again, player one. St. Simeon Stylites resided for decades on one of these, 60 feet tall, from the French for support. Player one? Right. You get to pick again, player one. Saint Columba of this country was martyred in 853 after telling some Moors that Muhammad was a false prophet. It's player one. Yes. Player one. Pick again. The order founded by this saint in Toulouse was zealous in carrying out the
Yeah!
You are correct. You again, player one. The Pope struck a medal to celebrate the 1572 massacre of Huguenots on this Saint's Day. Let's hear it, player one. Yes. Player one. Pick again. There's no beating around this archaic term for a wine shop or tavern. Let's hear it, player one. Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
You get to pick again, player one. It really burns me up that febrific means having one of these. Here's the correct response. A fever. Player one. Pick again. Lacrimiform literally means shaped like this. Player one.
Yeah!
We return to you, player one. A thurible is an ornamental container in which this is burned during a religious ceremony. It's player one. Good for you. Select again. Wynton Marsalis should know that to bisonate means to blow this horn, his specialty. Player one. Good for you. Player one, you pick again, please. Lateral epicondylitis is the medical term for the chronic arm injury called this sport's elbow. Yes, player one. Yes. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Statin drugs like Lipitor are used to lower the bad type of this. Let's hear it, player one. That is correct.
Yeah! Woo!
We return to you, player one. A sign of this infection from the virus that also causes chickenpox is a blistering rash preceded by severe pain. Let's hear it, player one. That's correct. Player one, pick again. Answer, the first of the daily doubles. You are currently in the lead. How much are you going to wager, player one? Answer this. There are viral and bacterial types of this, the inflammation of the membranes covering the brain and spinal cord. Good for you. Player one, choose again. The name of this fluid that contains white blood cells comes from the Latin for water. Okay, player one. Right. You get to pick again, player one. First aired on September 30th, 1963, Opie the Birdman has become a classic episode of this sitcom. Player one. Yes. Player one, you pick again, please. The never-used lyrics of its theme song were written by Gene Roddenberry. Okay, player one. That is correct. We return to you, player one. On The Addams Family, Ted Cassidy played not only Lurch, but this disembodied hand as well. It's player one. Right you are. You get to pick again, player one.
Yeah!
The second daily double. And you're in the lead now. So, what's your wager? And the clue. On August 29th, 1967, he finally caught up with the one-armed man. Correct. Player 1, back to you. In 1964, Mary Tyler Moore won her first Emmy as this new Rochelle housewife. Player 1? That is correct.
Yeah! Woo!
Player 1. Pick again. You can get customized Gree-Gree bags at the historic Voodoo Museum on Dumaine Street in this city. It's Player 1. You got it. Player 1, choose again. As this society has a long history, maps were the theme of a major 2007 exhibit at its museum, Explorers Hall. It's Player 1. That is correct. Please pick again, Player 1. You can ham it up at a museum in this Virginia town. It houses a ham cured in 1902. It's Player 1. Correct. Select again. The U.S. Space and Rocket Center in this Alabama city contains a vast collection of rockets and space memorabilia. It's Player 1. That's right. Way to go. You again, Player 1. An arm of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, the L.A. Museum of this, teaches about bigotry, racism, and the Holocaust. Let's hear it, Player 1. Good.
Yeah! Woo!
Player 1. Pick again. This treacherous pirate in Treasure Island has a pet parrot named Captain Flint. It's Player 1.
Yeah!
That's it. Player 1, back to you. A gray spider named Charlotte brings about a series of miracles to keep this pig from the butcher's knife. Yes, Player 1? Right. Player 1, you pick again, please. Sarah.
The traditional masks of comedy and tragedy were used by characters in ancient Greek drama. They're thought to have represented the twin sides of this god of wine and revelry.
Let's hear it, Player 1. Good. Player 1, back to you. Tom Sawyer saw him murder Dr. Robinson in the cemetery and testified against him in court. Let's hear it, Player 1. Yes. Now let's take a look at that $2,000 clue, shall we? This E.L. Doctorow title character joins Dutch Schultz's gang as a 15-year-old in 1930s New York City. Let's hear it, Player 1.
Yeah!
Good. I'll see you for Final Jeopardy in just a moment. This is the Final Jeopardy category for today. Championship sports. So, what's your wager? Here you are, players, the Final Jeopardy clue. In 2007, this university became the first to hold national titles in both football and basketball in the same year. Let's see your response. And this correct response will add how much to your score? Congratulations, Player 1. You are our new champion. So long.